In this video, I show you guys how I string my racket in 2 pieces. Let's go. Once you have your string picked out, there's a few tools you'll need. Some clippers to start with, an external clamp, some pointy stick to help with weaving. You'll need a Stanley blade in case you need to shave down the end of the string, and a spacer to help protect the frame. You'll need to start by cutting out the strings. So horizontally and vertically you cut across the mains and crosses until you can push them out safely and remove all the string. Using all the vices and clamps, you want to securely and carefully fit the racket onto the machine, making sure you're not going super tight, but making sure that the racket's not going anywhere. You don't want to warp the frame by applying too much pressure on one side, so make sure it's all even. Then you want to measure out the required amount of string and set your tension. You will need to start by threading both ends of the string through the middle of the racket. You will see which holes in the grommet. You need to, check depending on the racket and the string pattern, but I like to walk to the end of the room and making sure both are matched in my hand. The strings are pulled out evenly and you're ready to tension. Once you pull both ends through, you want to tension, and then you want to grab the clamps, put one in each string as close to the frame as you can get them, and make sure they're all secure, and then you're ready to release the tension. You're now ready to do the second string, so it's probably safe to do about 1 to 3 strings per side of the frame, just so it's not lopsided and the frame won't get warped as you're adding tension. It can be dangerous. So you want to make sure it's even and balanced on both sides. All you do is repeat the process, and then you move the clamp as it's tensioned closest to the frame where it's getting tensioned, making sure that the clamp's secure, and then you release. It's quite easy from there. You just repeat the process until all the strings on the side of the grommet and the string pattern are filled up. The only thing you need to be careful about is not going into the crosses holes. So if it's a 16-19, it might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, skip 1, 7, skip 1, 8. And those skips are, the crosses that are intersecting. So you want to avoid those. Just keep an eye out for that. To finish off the mains, you'll need to make 2 knots on both sides. And I like to use a Parnell knot. Now that's just the knot that I've grown up using when I got taught from a few different stringers, and it's just served me best really. It's pretty secure and it's quite easy. It's going to go over and under and through itself, just be careful. If you can follow this, I know it might not be the greatest angle using black string as well, but hopefully you can follow along. It goes over the string and then under, back through the little hoop that you make. And you're just going to do that twice and end up tensioning the first one before you do the second one. So it's a double knot essentially. This is just really secure. And after you do this, you're going to find your clippers and you will carefully and gently cut off the end so it's not going to poke you. You're not going to damage the frame either. So for the crosses, it's a little bit more difficult, but you're going to start out by measuring. I like to measure across the frame as I feel that gives me the most accurate measurement. So I'm measuring out here 20 lengths across, and I probably add 1 or 2 extra ones to compensate for the starting and the finishing knot. The only technical part here is that you're going to go up and down. You're going to weave horizontally across the strings, making sure you don't miss any. So it's going to go up, then down, and once you return and do the next string across, it's going to go the opposite. So if the previous string was before, the next one will go over and under instead of under and over. You're going to weave it through, and I'll show you in a bit like that. You're going to help push the string along just so it doesn't, corrode and eat into the string as you're pulling it. Start off, it can be a little bit technical, but I'm going to thread that spacer through. It's just a piece of foam that I've stabbed a hole in, but it's essentially just going to protect the frame. I'm going to use that external clamp, making sure there's enough string left over to tension at the end, and I'm simply going to use the rest of that string to tension, bring the clamp along, and there's your first cross done. So once that's secure, you're going to release the tension, and you're simply going to thread back through again. You do need to watch out, as I said before, if it's up, over and under the previous string, you want to do the opposite. So as I'm pointing out here, I'm either going over and under, the opposite of what I did before. And you're just going to use your fingers to push up and down. It can be a little bit tricky when you're starting out, but I'm just showing here nice and slow for you guys. Yeah, you'll figure out a method for it, and you're just going to pull that string tight. And with that pointy spike that I showed you earlier, I'm going to simply push the string up and down as you're weaving, so it doesn't burn a hole through as you're pulling it through. So the string's safe. I'm going to give it a little push so it's straight, tension it, and bring the second clamp in, and we are off to a great start. And yeah, it's pretty easy from there. You just keep going. I'm using the Stanley blade just to sharpen the edge, as there's a string covering the hole in the grommet. So once I finish that string at the end, I'm going to jump right into this bit. So I'm going to go back to the start, tension this last string, take the clamp off carefully, and I've set it up so I can reuse that clamp down there, push it all the way to the start, fix that securely, and I can release the tension. Now that that's done, I can take the spacer out and do my parnell knot. It varies on different rackets, but this was confusing to me and I figured it out. I had to jump that clamp all the way to the end and do, the very top cross, where I did the knot just now, and leave this last final cross undone, just so I can use that clamp and take out the external clamp to finish that knot. And now I'm going to tension the final string you'll see here. I can jump that clamp all the way to the bottom and finish the racket, leaving one knot to do left. Once you finish that final knot, congratulations, the racket is done. So you want to take off the clamps, unwind the vices that hold the racket in place, and remember to lower the tension back to 0, as you don't want the spring to lose its strength. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Make sure that all the tools are back and it's safe. But yeah, well done. It's quite a difficult process, but once you get used to it, it gets easier. And yeah, subscribe, like the video, and see you guys in the next one.